Hey guys, it's been a really long time. I didn't mean to disappear for that long. It just kind of ended up being that way. Time ended up slipping away from my hands, and here we are. It's been like what, 7-ish weeks now, something like that. 7, 8 maybe. I don't know, but probably around close to 2 months at this point, which I did not mean to do. In all honesty, I don't really have an excuse for why I didn't post. I just kind of didn't. I mean, mainly it's due to the fact that I was recovering from surgery, which I made clear in the last video that I made back in early January. I think at the time of that video, I was like 2 days post-recovery, so I had a lot of time in my hands, and I could have easily pumped out a shit ton of videos, but I just didn't, honestly. I really didn't. I was in crutches, obviously. I couldn't be here right now, which obviously means that now I'm able to drive. Like, life is continuing on for me again. No more big setbacks as far as I'm concerned. I've been walking for about 10 days now-ish. And in 4 more, I will be all done with the boot. So I'll pretty much be as close as I can get to 100% right now. So, yeah. I don't want to say the surgery was an excuse for why I didn't post, but it is the reason. But at the same time, I didn't post. I easily could have. I just really didn't. That's all it comes down to, and I apologize for that. And that's out of the way now, so we can move on from here, and yeah, it's great. I also wanted to bring up a couple things that I am regarding for this channel. There's going to be some changes in 2025, mainly due to the content. We're going to change it up a bit. I love doing these sit-down talks in the car and just dropping advice on you guys. And that's going to continue, but the setting is going to change. So I guess change of content was the wrong phrase to put that in. I think it's going to be a change of setting. And what I'm going to try to do in the future, when it gets warmer outside, I'm in Maine and it's pretty cold out right now. As I can assume you can hear the wind blowing outside of my car. It's going pretty hard, and it's very cold outside, lots of snow still. But anyways, what I want to do once it gets warmer out is I want to start posting outside. Obviously, that's gonna require me getting a mic, an actual mic, which is in the works currently, so that's no big deal. And I'm going to find a location that's quiet and away from everything, more so in nature, and I'm going to start making my content out there, wherever spot I manage to find. So, same content, new place. I want to get away from the car stuff. And maybe something I do is I post in a different location each time, but every now and then revisit some old ones. Once the colder season comes around again, I might just keep the content inside, honestly, because why not? And doing it outside when it's like 10 degrees is not very optimal. It's not going to be enjoyable to sit outside, make YouTube videos, and do it that way. That's just not the way I'd want to do it. And yeah, we're not going to do that. But in 3 of the other 4 seasons of the year, we're going to keep it outdoors. We're going to be in nature. We're going to embrace the world that we live in. So get away from technology and sitting in the car constantly, because as easy as it is to do that and talk about everything in here, it's not something I want to do forever. It's a great starting point, and it has been a great starting point, but I want the channel to go further than just car videos. Or me talking in the car videos, really. Another thing I want to do is, this actually is going to be a change of content. It's not going to be just talking in the videos kind of things, advice stuff. It's also going to be me finally getting into photography and videography as an art form. So I'm going to be probably posting and making videos that are just me editing and showing off my life pretty much, and things I experience, I guess, in a different form of just me talking about the things I experience. And I don't really know how else to explain that right now, because I have a vision of it in my head, and you've probably seen things similar on Instagram or Snapchat or in whatever social media you guys have, but it's going to be an entirely different content form, and it's not going to be the usual face to camera kind of thing you see. It's going to be a different perspective and a different way of me expressing my emotions in an artistic form rather than just speaking them out. Because speaking them out is great, but I want to do more than just that. I also would like to announce that later this year, I am going to start up a clothing brand. Yeah, gonna hop on the train with that, but it's not gonna be the atypical, like, social media, Instagram, clothing brands that you see that blow up everywhere, and, like, you know, I'm not gonna do what everybody else is doing. I'm gonna do pretty much, it's gonna be my photography and the photos I've taken, and it's gonna be put out into clothing pretty much. It's probably just gonna be t-shirts, honestly. We might dive into the sweatshirt range as well. We might expand a little further than that, but we'll see. Me and one of my buddies are gonna hopefully get this running. It's in the works currently. We're talking about it. We've got a lot of things on the drawing board. I've got a lot of things written in my personal business journal, so that's going to be a big thing for me for this year. So yeah, and of course I'll drop the link to that in my bio on here, and one of my buddies may run a social media account on Instagram for it. So yeah, that's enough of me yapping about changes to the content of this channel and just changes overall to this channel. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of today's topic, and that's actually pretty similar to what I just went over, and it's a pretty simple one, really, and it's something I feel like a lot more people struggle with than just the typical relationship, social things, and that's figuring out what you want to do in your life. And you know, that's something I haven't truly figured out yet, really. I mean, I'm here in college debating every day if I actually want to be here. And I'm also debating with whether I actually want to be in the major I'm in. Freshman year, I was in business, as I think I've told you guys, maybe, I don't know. But if you didn't know, now you know. So, and now I'm a psych major, and psychology has felt very fitting for me. I've enjoyed it a lot. However, something about psychology isn't quite cutting it for me. I enjoy it for sure, and I enjoy the things that come with it and some of the classes that I've taken in it, even though it's kind of difficult, you know. It's just the way college is. It's not going to be easy grind, because if it were an easy grind, then it would just be easy, because the word grind and easy do not go together. So yeah, figuring out what you want to do is a bit of a struggle, but that's okay, because that's the beauty of life, you know? You don't really have to know what you want to do. I guess the way I've kind of gone about my college career is I'm just going with it. Whatever I'm meant to be in for the time being is where I'm meant to be. And that's completely okay. If I'm meant to be in psychology as a sophomore, and then something entirely different next year, then so be it. And who knows, maybe what I end up in next year is truly the place that I belong in. And maybe it's not, you know. Maybe I end up being successful with some sort of business on my own or whatever else I do outside of school. Maybe I go in that kind of pathway. In all honesty, that's where I'd like to go. But where I'd like to go isn't exactly the place where I'll end up. And that's something you gotta prepare for in life. You might want to be in one place, but sometimes you gotta be ready for change, you know? Sometimes you gotta be ready to be in a position, in a place that you would never expect yourself to be in. And that's kind of the beauty of not knowing what you want to do. You have no idea what's going to happen. Anything can happen, really. And you just gotta roll with it. And it's kind of exciting, honestly, not knowing what's going to happen next. Of course, in some sense, you're going to have some certainty of where you want to be. Certainty is very important in life altogether. You can't wander around life not knowing what you want to do, where you want to be, any of that stuff. In some sense, you're going to have an idea, but you don't have to pinpoint precisely where you want to be and where you want to end up. You know, it's okay to not know where you want to be or what you want to do. That sounded like I kind of just backtracked myself there, but you know what I mean. Well, I hope you know what I mean, at least. I guess to better phrase that is, you don't need to know where you want to be and where you want to end up. But you gotta have some direction even still. Direction has to exist in the equation, because that creates the balance between direction and uncertainty. Uncertainty with your career and what you want to do and where you want to be is totally normal and completely fine. But direction has to be there. Direction has to exist in some way, shape, or form. And honestly, direction doesn't really have to be anything substantial. Direction can be a pretty small thing. It can literally just be working a couple jobs and getting a bunch of money saved so you can move into a nice apartment or something like that, and essentially move up to your next checkpoint, essentially. Your next checkpoint can come in many different ways, shapes, or forms. You know, you can move to a new city if it's a place you've wanted to be in. Move into a nice house or apartment that you've been looking at for a while. Getting a new car, you know, those kind of things. It doesn't have to come in materialistic forms either. It can come in emotional ways as well. Becoming a better person. Fixing something about yourself that you haven't liked for a while, you know. All of those things that I've just listed right there are direction. And they're steps forward. And it's important that you have some step forward in your life. You can't just be aimlessly walking around the earth, hopeless and doing nothing, I guess. You gotta do something, regardless of your situation. And as long as you're doing something, you're good. And it doesn't have to be anything big, really. It doesn't. Nobody's pressuring you either to need to know where you want to be or do what you want to do. There's no shame in that, really. There isn't. It's completely okay. Because I've got faith in you that eventually you'll figure it out. It'll take some time, and it won't exactly be easy, because nobody ever said life was going to be easy. But I know for sure that to everybody out there watching this video that doesn't quite know what they want to do or where they want to be, I guarantee, and I'm very sure, that you'll figure it out. Because you always do. I mean, you've gotten yourself to this point already. And that's involved you having some sort of direction in your life. So keep going. And don't stop. Because things will unfold eventually. And you'll be where you needed to be. You may not be in the place you want to be, but you might just end up in the place you need to be. And that's a lot more important than anything. But that's all I got for today. A little bit shorter in terms of the content-wise. part of the video, but that's everything for today. So, take care and stay blessed.